Robert Dunkerson Orr was an American political leader and the 45th governor of Indiana from 1981 to 1989. He was a member of the Republican Party. Early life. Robert D. Orr was born in Ann Arbor, Michigan, where his family was vacationing, on November 17, 1917, the last of the three children of Samuel Lowery and Louise Dunkerson Orr. His father was an industrialist with interests in many companies whose holdings were centralized in the Wine Company. Orr grew up in Evansville, Indiana, where his father's company was headquartered. His family have lived in the area for 3 generations. He attended local public schools for most of his early education, but transferred to the Hotchkiss School in Connecticut before his final year of high school beginning in 1934. Upon graduation he was accepted to Yale University, enrolling in 1936. At Yale he was a member of Delta Kappa Epsilon fraternity. He earned a bachelor's degree in 1940 and then enrolled in Harvard Business School. After the outbreak of World War II, he left Harvard without graduating to join the Army. He was admitted to Officers Candidate School and after completing his course served as on the staff of the Quartermaster's General Staff in the Pacific Theater, eventually rising to the rank of Major. For his service, he was awarded the Legion of Merit. He met Joanne Josie Wallace, who served in the Women's Air Force Service Pilots while he was serving. After the discharge in 1946, they married, settled in Evansville, and eventually had 3 children. After returning home, Orr entered into the family business, and became active in Republican politics of Vanderbilt County. Many Evansville factories had been creating war implements, and the end of the conflict led many of them to close. Orr began purchasing vacated factories, refurbishing them to produce goods, and selling them. Through his activity he became involved in a local economic development committee. His business and holding expanded rapidly, and by 1953 he was on the board of 20 local businesses including Erie Investments, Sterling Brewers, and Grand Junction, and was director of 12 other companies. He was on several civic boards including the Rotary Club, Evansville YMCA, Willard Library, Buffalo Trace Council of Boy Scouts of America, and the Presbyterian Church of Evansville. Because of his community service, he was awarded the Jaycees Young Man of the Year Award in 1953. As a result of the award, he was invited to serve as a trustee of Hanover College, a position he held for decades. Political career. Orr first became involved in politics in 1950 as a member of a local Republican Party advisory board. In 1951 he became chairman of the local party. He served until 1954. He was a precinct committee man for 8 years, and in 1958 became treasurer for the 8th District Republican Committee, a position he held until 1960. In 1965 he was elected chairman of the Vanderbilt County Republican Central Committee. He held the position for 6 years. In 1968 he was elected to the Indiana Senate representing Evansville. He served there until 1973. In 1972, he was nominated at the state Republican convention to run for lieutenant governor on a ticket with Otis R. Bowen. The election campaign focused largely on their opponents' records of raising taxes, and they won the election with 56.8% of the vote. As lieutenant governor, Orr oversaw the state agricultural bureau and was director of the Indiana Department of Commerce. Orr drew on his experience in economic development in Evansville to put in place a statewide economic growth plan. He convinced state leaders to fund the creation of 2 Port of Indiana ports on the Ohio River, one at Mount Vernon and other at Jeffersonville, and he launched a successful tourist attraction campaign. Orr voted 5 tie-breaking votes in the Indiana Senate during his term, including one that passed Bowen's tax reorganization plan, drastically lowering property taxes, requiring local taxing authorities to receive state-level approval to raise taxes, while increasing the state sales tax. Orr and Bowen were re-elected to office in 1976. Orr was popular statewide because of his economic plans and for being associated with the tax reorganization plan. With Bowen's backing, he ran unopposed for the Republican nomination to run for governor in 1980. In the general election he was opposed by Democrat John Hillenbrand. Orr focused on connecting himself with the popular Governor Bowen. His slogan was, "Let's keep a good thing going." Quote, he easily defeated Hillenbrand, 1,257,383 to 913,116 votes. As governor, he oversaw the reform of the Indiana educational system. In 1984, he defeated State Senator Wayne Townsend of Hartford City to win a second term as governor, 1,146,497 to 1,036,832. An ad from the 1984 campaign, which featured an actress playing a fortune teller and a singer with a Daryl Hall-style mullet, was featured on an episode of CNN's Not Just Another Cable News Show. In the 1984 election, Orr polled 110,886 fewer votes than he had in 1980, and his overall percent dropped by 4.9. In 1986, Orr served as president of the Council of State Governments and is the chairman of the Midwestern Governors Association. After his terms as governor, Orr was named by U.S. President George H.W. Bush as the U.S. ambassador to Singapore, a position that he held until 1992. After he left his ambassadorship, Orr established a consulting firm called the Alliance for Global Commerce, which focused on international trade and export issues. In 2000, he divorced his wife Joanne Josie Wallace. In 2001, at the age of 83, he married Mary Kay Davis. Orr died at the age of 86 at the Indiana University Medical Center in Indianapolis from complications following kidney surgery. He is buried in Crown Hill Cemetery in Indianapolis. The portion of Interstate 69 south of its interchange with Interstate 64, at one time labeled Interstate 164, is named the Robert D. Orr Highway in his honor. Electoral history.